Welcome back to the Site Blood YouTube channel. I'm your host, Shad, and today we back at it again with a brand new reaction video. Coming at you with the live performance of Proud Mary by Tina Turner in 1996 in the country of Amsterdam. Can't wait to get into this. Tina Turner, man. I've heard so much about Tina Turner over the course of my life, but outside of maybe like one song, maybe two, I haven't really tapped in a lot with her music. And going back to it, that's why I started this channel, to really explore the catalog of the legends, the people who we know that are iconic, and they get all the reverence, they get all the respect, but they may have just been before my time, or I just never really tapped in with them like that. So this was my attempt at really exploring their catalogs. So Tina Turner, like, so much was made about her relationship with her then husband at the time, Ike Turner, the abuse and things like that. Like, that took a life of its own within pop culture. You may have been watching different shows or different movies, and there always was going to be a reference to Tina Turner and her husband, Ike Turner, in the abuse and things like that, which is crazy. So I've seen, like, maybe like on the show Martin in the 90s, they had a reference to it, I remember. I'm sure some other things, maybe Fresh Prince or something like that. But crazy enough, I never actually watched that movie. Because I don't know, it's like I heard about it so much, and I don't know, I just never watched it. For some reason, and I don't know what's actually in the movie, it just felt like that's what it was going to be about. Like, it was just going to be non-stop violence, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm not really interested. But I heard great things about it as well, though, so I don't know. Like I said, I just didn't want to, like, okay, is that all we gonna be seeing? Performances and then abuse? Like, I don't know. I didn't really find that interesting. But I don't know. Like, maybe one day I'll watch it and just see what it's about. But like I said, outside of that, I just never really heard much of Tina Turner in general. She's known as the queen of rock and roll. And like, she really made strides as far as like a black artist in the rock genre and things like that. So I think that could be a little bit of why I haven't heard much from her, because like I just was never really into rock like that. But like I said, for her to be the queen of rock and roll, like that's special. And she sold 150 million records, 12 Grammys, I want to say, including this one. Like, this went #4 on the Hot 100, and it also produced the Grammy as well for an R&B performance. So much respected, like I said, icon, absolutely revered. She also had one of the biggest comebacks for an older act. Ike and Tina Turner, they came out in the 60s and 70s, and obviously the abuse happened in the marriage. And then she ended up leaving Ike in 1976. And then by the 80s, she ended up like respawning her career when she was in her 40s. So that's pretty legendary in and of itself. And she had hits. And I believe that's the one song that I did hear. What's Love Got to Do with It? And I think she actually made that in her 40s, or she actually released that in her 40s. And that's inspiring. Like, so much about music and pop culture and music culture, like, people act like you got to be just young to be able to make hits and be relevant in music. But a lot of artists back then, especially like in the 80s and stuff, like Temptations was still making hits at that time. I believe Barry White was an older artist at a certain point, and they was still making hits. I mean, even within their 40s. So for that to be a narrative that like people can't, once you a certain age, you're just supposed to fall off the face of the earth. Like, nah, that's not how it's supposed to go down. But like I said, legendary artist, man, and I can't wait to get into it, man. So without further ado, let's get into the live performance of Proud Mary by Tina Turner.
I'm Tina. And this is Mary. Proud Mary. Every now and then, I like to do things nice and easy. But somehow, I never, ever seem to do nothing completely nice, easy. You know why? You know why? Because we like to do it nice and rough. We're gonna take the beginning of this song and do it easy. And then, and then, and then, we're gonna do the finish rough. This is the way we do Proud Mary. And we're rolling, sing it with me. Rolling, rolling on the river, yeah. Say we're rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. You don't have to worry. You got no money. People on the river are happy with you. We'll keep on turning, turning. Oh, never keep on turning. And rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. And rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. And rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Let's go home.
Man. What an absolute great performance. High energy, man. Like that's rock and roll for sure. Like she put the role in rock and roll. Like yeah, like I said, growing up, I just never like really looked at like I knew of rock and roll and I have heard it on some like off the cuff type situation, but like I never really dove into it or I never really like really gave it a chance. But like this performance here, like it really showed me what exactly that is. Like why rock and roll is looked at as special as it is. And like just in general, like it's very high energy. Like I can see why it makes for like great music and why it like makes for like great performances. I mean like imagine being in that crowd and you seeing all this like it's almost like a spectacle. It's like a live show or something like that. And that energy, it just is infectious and it infects the whole crowd. And that's where I feel like that draw come from. And for her to be the queen of rock and roll, and like what this, she might have been like in her 50s by this point, because this is 96. They said she came back out in the 80s as like she was in her 40s. So this what she 50s, maybe close to 60s or something like this in 96. So man, like I said, like the ultimate performer, and like she performed all the way to like 2009. I think they said 2009 was her last tour. And really, that's kind of like all she knew. Like even when she was with Ike, like they said they had a Ike and Tina Turner review, and they kind of toured extensively. So she, like that's what she did, like touring. Like that was her thing. And like man, like you could tell like how her stage presence is off the charts. And I feel like Beyonce may have been like inspired by her because the dress, like from how she's dressed, like the sparkly dress, just the energy that she brings to the table, the like I said, all the things that you see on stage, the stage presence, being able to command the audience, like all of that. Like I feel like that's like Beyonce's predecessor to me, knowing what we know now about how Beyonce performs and her concerts and all of that. Like you could tell, like that's that inspiration right there. And I think that's important to note too. Like as far as a lot of times, I don't even know how I want to frame this, but like when we talk about in the R&B space or whatnot, for the most part, we don't really associate them with like the entertainment side of it or like the dancing and things like that, like just the stage presence and stuff like that. We more so look at them for their vocals, them as vocalists, like Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. We don't really think of them as like these big time dancers and things like that. But like as far as like Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Beyonce, or whoever, like the ones that we know as great performers and things like that, I feel like they kind of like took that from the rock and roll genre and put it into the R&B, soul, and pop genres. And like that rock and roll component is what makes them rock stars, if you will. I mean, like they became rock stars within another genre. So that's just how I feel about it. I could be wrong, I could be off base, but that's kind of how I get that vibe from it. But yeah, man, a great song overall, great energy, man. Like I said, she's an absolute legend, Tina Turner. So yeah, I want to tap in more with a lot of her music and things like that. But if you enjoyed this reaction, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you are aware of when we drop these videos. Also, these videos do tend to be demonetized, so on the YouTube app, they offer a thanks option. So if you want to support us on the channel, you can tap in with us with that thanks option. Or you can tap in with us on the Patreon at patreon.com/siteblk, and there you'll be able to suggest songs and live performances just like this one, and get them voted into our weekly rotation the following week. So if that's something you're interested in, links in the description box below. Before we get out of here, I want to give a special thank you to our Patreon members. We got James Humphrey, Trails, CJ, C. Rob, Queen Momo, Tony Campbell, Sonia, and Sylvia Walker. I appreciate all that you guys do for us over here on the Site Black YouTube channel, keeping us with great music and great performances to react to week in and week out without fail. You guys keep this thing pushing along with your participation, your suggestions, your feedback, your compliments, all of that. Everything helps, everything supports the channel, man, and it keeps this movement going. And with that said, this has been the Site Black YouTube channel. Hope you guys have a great day, a great week, and as always, peace.